Hello and welcome to Nick's Nerd News. This is where you come to listen to breaking news when it comes to the nerd world. That means we have breaking video game news, movie news, and TV news. If you want to hear about the latest games, the latest movies, and everything else, stick around. Because here's your host, Nick, from a tiny studio in San Diego.
It's gonna be May. Is that like an obligatory thing whenever it's May? Obviously, the last show was April. Did I end the show with that? I don't remember. How are you guys doing? Yeah, it's May 7th. A little late for it's gonna be May, realistically. You guys having a good May so far? We're almost halfway through the year, which is a wild thing to say. You know, I haven't complained about time moving at the speed of light in quite a while, so I guess it was well overdue. But what's wild is this is episode 365. So now you officially have an episode a day to listen to for a straight year if you wanted to, if you're new, which I'm sure many of you are. Or maybe you're big fans and you want to listen to an episode every day. Well, now you can do that, because now we have 365 episodes, one a day. I don't know. Big news in gaming, really, this week. Grand Theft Auto just hurting everyone's feelings. Xbox is pulling some shenanigans, which is rare for them lately. I did see Thunderbolts, or the new Avengers, or whatever the hell you want to call it. It was good. No, it was really good. And Andor, Andor, are we going to talk about Cassian Andor and the things going on in Star Wars? Those are the biggest stories. Oh, and Ecco the Dolphin. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we're going to talk about Ecco the Dolphin, but Ecco the Dolphin is not a top story. But how was you guys' Star Wars weekend? Do you have a good Star Wars weekend? I liked Tales of the Underworld to a point. We'll talk about that. What did I just say? We'll talk about that as well. Anyway, before we get to the stories and the news and everything else, why don't you head over to nixnerdnews.com? That is the one-stop shop for all things Nick's Nerd News. You can listen to the show right in your browser, or you can take us on the go, because I got links, all the links to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Right? Also, check out the social media tab. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Threads. We got a Facebook. And guess what? YouTube's also a social media site. What? Anyway, let's not waste any more time and get straight to the news, shall we? All right, gaming news. Let's start with this. Codemasters has announced that they are pausing production and development on any future Rallycross game for the time being. No further expansions are going to be released for EA Sports WRC, and they are saying what they have, quote, reached the end of the road, unquote, working on the game. They are pausing development on any future titles as well. The UK studio said, quote, "Our WRC partnership was a culmination of sorts for our Codemasters' journey with off-road racing spanning decades through titles like Colin McRae Rally and Dirt. We've provided a home for every rally enthusiast striving tirelessly to push the boundaries and deliver the exhilarating thrill of driving on the ragged edge. We've brought together incredibly talented racing developers, worked with some of the sports icons, and had the opportunity to share our love of rallying," unquote. So, we recently learned that, EA laid off about 300 people last week. I wonder if Codemasters was affected in that. They, of course, have been working on games since the late 90s on rally games. And EA Sports WRC was their first game to have an official WRC license since 2002. So it's really strange that they are not making any more rally games, and that's kind of just like their bread and butter, and it has been for decades. Hollow Knight Silksong is a game that everybody is patiently waiting for, almost as much as Grand Theft Auto, I would argue. And there's no word on a release date, no word on anything. People have been waiting and waiting and waiting. Now, we've learned, though, it's going to be playable for the first time, but not where you think. An Australian museum is going to have a playable version of Hollow Knight Silksong, and it's been atop the Steam wish lists. The studio, of course, is based in Australia, in Adelaide specifically. We still don't know when it will release. They still are holding to a 2025 window. But if you are able to attend Australia's National Museum of Screen Culture from September 18th and beyond, also known as ACMI, you will be able to play the game at the museum, which is located in Melbourne, which will be part of their video game exhibition called Game Worlds. That's wild. That I bet you they're going to release the game around that time, just to coincide with it. I bet you that's what's going to happen. Yeah, that'd be interesting. All right, let's get to one of the top stories here. Xbox has announced a price hike, and not a small one, on consoles and peripherals. You do not raise prices 5 years in. It's very rare for prices to go up 5 years in on a console. And I'm wondering if they have anything to do with the tariffs. I don't know, because they haven't said or anything, but given the increase in price, I'm wondering if that's what it has, if that's what it has to do with it. That didn't make any sense, what I just said. But I think you understand what I mean. But it's not a U.S. only thing, so that's where I'm kind of thrown off. Again, it's very rare for price hikes to happen 5 years in, and I bet you Sony won't be far behind in this. Microsoft has announced that what began on May 1st, consoles and peripherals went up in price. Game prices, as of now, will remain the same, but will increase to $80 by the end of the year. So now Xbox is hopping on the $80 game trend, and like I said, PlayStation, I'm sure, will soon follow. Price increases are globally. Headset prices are only going up in the US and Canada. So, moving forward, now they've been in place for about a week, the Xbox Series S 512 gigabyte will now cost $379.99, an increase of $80. Yes, $80. The Xbox Series S 1 terabyte will increase to $429.99, which is almost another $80 increase. The Xbox Series X All Digital is going up $100 to $549.99. The Xbox Series X regular is going up to $599, a $100 increase as well. The Xbox Series X 2TB Galaxy Special Edition is going up $130 to $729.99. The Xbox Wireless Controller Core is going to $64.99. The Xbox Wireless Controller Color is going to $69.99. The Special Edition controllers are going up to $79.99. The Limited Edition are going up to $89.99. The Elite Series 2 Core is going up $10. That's not a huge jump. The Elite Series Full is going up $20 to $199 from $179. Not a huge jump. The stereo headset is going to $64.99, and the wireless headset is going up $10 to $119.99. You can see other increases by region on their website. And a statement from Microsoft was given, quote, "We understand that these changes are challenging, and they were made with careful consideration. Given market conditions and the rising cost of development, looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players." Unquote. That's some bullshit is what that is. It is a 5-year-old console. I can understand game prices going up, cost of development. The cost of making this thing should be going down. But like I said, first-party games will be going to $80 this fall, and I'm sure we'll learn more about it at their Xbox Game Showcase next month. I do not understand what the logic behind this is. I do not. It makes zero sense. Now, I posted something on social media about it a little while ago, and I think someone made a good point that they saw how willing people were to pay for the Switch and its cost increases, and the other companies were like, all right, the only way we send messages to these people is with our wallets, and I know it's very hard to do that, to give up on a hobby, but gaming is now becoming a very expensive hobby, and it will not be for everyone anymore, and I think this is going to end up backfiring across the board. Across the board. So, like I said, I guarantee you PlayStation will announce one soon, or they won't, just to get the upper hand, because they love to do that. But I do not understand what Xbox is thinking. I'm happy I have a console, because this is getting untenable for a lot of people. It really is ridiculous. It really is. Microsoft is also a $1 trillion company. They have no business raising their prices. Zero. Nintendo as well. Nintendo's flush with cash. They don't have to do anything for like a decade, and they would still have enough money to run for like 50 or 60 years. Both of them have no business. Speaking of companies that have an outrageous amount of money and are fighting over stupid shit, Fortnite may be returning to iPhones this year. 5 years since they were pulled. And actually, this week, after a federal district court in the United States and California found that Apple willfully violated a court order in the Epic Games v. Apple case. Tim Sweeney, CEO of Epic Games, said, quote, "If Apple extend the court's friction-free Apple tax-free framework worldwide, will return Fortnite to the App Store worldwide and drop current and future litigation on the topic," unquote. So we'll see. Looks like that maybe went through. Fortnite will be returning to iOS devices soon. So the biggest news of the last 2 weeks, it's crossing from last week into this week, is Grand Theft Auto 6. Last week, Take-Two Interactive made the announcement that Grand Theft Auto 6 would be delayed about, we don't know, because we never knew a release date. Despite months and months and months of them telling us it was ahead of schedule, it was making its release in 2025, it has now officially been delayed to 1 year, just over a year from now, to May 26th, 2026. We now at least have an official release date. Now, how this will affect the gaming industry as a whole is going to be interesting, because so many games tried to get the fuck out of its way in the fall, and now they got to compete with it in the early summer. Strauss Zelnick, head of Take-Two Interactive, tried to quell fears among shareholders and things like that. It is still expected to be the largest entertainment launch of all time, which is wild. It's now going from Take-Two's 2026 financial year to its 2027 financial year. So investors, of course, are going to be like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. So Take-Two stock did see a nearly 8% fall in value with the announcement. So the good thing is they have said that there's no crunch. So the developers are getting time to flesh out the game and finish it up. People were upset. Most people were understandable with it. Other people were like, at least give us a screenshot or a trailer or something, because they gave us nothing on the delay. However, luckily, early this week, we got a new trailer, and this was a very much more story-focused trailer. Rockstar, of course, apologized for the delay and things like that, but this trailer was very good. I very much enjoyed it. It's just over 2.5 minutes. It introduces us to the two main characters, Jason Duval and what was her name? What's the main character's name? I don't remember. GTA 6. We got to see more of the environments and things like that around Leonida. That's what they're calling the state. More of Vice City, things like that. Hold on. Settings and characters. Jason Duval and Lucia Caminos. Interesting. I recognize some voices in the game, but like I said, it looks fucking great. And they're saying that the trailer was done on a base PlayStation 5, which so many people are having a hard time believing, because of how good it looks. There's even gameplay in there. But Rockstar is saying that, yes, it was a base PS5, meaning you won't need a PS5 Pro for it to look that good, or a I don't know, that's the only console that's like that. It's not on PC yet. There's still no PC date. That means it's going to run fine on your base PlayStation 5, your Xbox Series X, which is crazy. No, nothing was done. In a social media post, Rockstar said, quote, entirely in-game from PS5, equal parts gameplay and cutscenes, which is insane. The full statement is, quote, Grand Theft Auto 6 Trailer 2 was captured entirely in-game from a PlayStation 5, comprised of equal parts gameplay and cutscenes. With that in mind, it makes GTA 6 all the more, and cutscenes, sorry, quote. That's insane. That's how good it was. It looks real. Like, it looks like some of the mods on GTA 5 that make it look real, which I'm blown away by. So GTA 6, like I said, is now coming out in May. So that's unfortunate. But like I said, that trailer is already raking up views and breaking records. It is nuts. But at least we got to see more of what's going on in the area around where we're going to be playing the game. It's doing so well that the Pointer Sisters, who haven't been relevant in a very long time, their song that's featured in the trailer is now like one of the top songs on Spotify. No surprise at all. So that's crazy. It's a song from 1986. Listen, this is how much it shot up. 182,000% increase in streams in the 2 hours following the release of the trailer. That is crazy. At 250,000 streams alone. I'm sure that will only go up from here. So it shows you just how powerful Grand Theft Auto can be, and it isn't even out. Fan theories are running wild. People are already making stupid assumptions online about the main characters. The one thing I noticed, the detail, is in Grand Theft Auto, the bottles always seem to just be generic-looking bottles, right? There's a scene where the main characters are drinking what looks like cerveza. They look like real Modelo bottles. That's how good they've upped the quality in these games. One of the cars looks exactly like a Ford Fusion or whatever, the cop car. I thought it was a Ford for a second. Like, that's how great the graphical fidelity has gotten in the 10 years since Grand Theft Auto 5. Which is nuts. Nuts. There's connections to Red Dead. They're already looking at the money close up, and it features the same money from Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know where the gameplay is and where it isn't. So that's nuts. Wow. Wow. I cannot wait for this game. I hope we learn more about it in the coming months, and I hope it's not just the 2 trailers. But knowing Rockstar, it probably will be the last bit of news we get from them for a year. That's crazy. Anyway. It is somewhat of a sad day for some people. Microsoft has announced, Xbox has announced, that Gears of War Reloaded, another remaster of the original Gears of War game, will be launching on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation 5 this August. New version will come with improved visuals, audio, cross-play, cross-progression, and all the DLC from Gears of War Ultimate Edition. In an official statement, studio head of the Coalition said, quote, "As we approach the 20th anniversary of Gears of War in 2026, we're reflecting on what this franchise means. It's about the stories we've told, the friendships we've built, and the unforgettable moments we've shared together. With Gears of War Reloaded, we're opening that door to more players than ever." Unquote. So, I know it's only we're just barely removed from the announcement of Halo going to PlayStation, and the one franchise I just do not want on PlayStation is Halo, and you guys know I will defend Halo until my dying breath. So, yeah, I mean, cool, crossplay, all that. It'll be 4K resolution, 60 FPS in campaign, 120 FPS in multiplayer, HDR, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, spatial audio, VRR, 4K assets and remastered textures, things like that. There you go, PlayStation fans. You're getting Gears of War. The memes have been on point with that, though, with like Kratos and Marcus Phoenix like welcoming each other and things like that. So I'm not a big Gears of War fan, so I don't care that much, but the writing's on the wall. And speaking of that, the top-selling games on PlayStation for March were all franchises owned by Xbox. Oblivion Remastered, Minecraft, and Forza Horizon 5 have topped the PlayStation sales charts. Sony itself, via a PlayStation blog, revealed that the top-selling PlayStation Store games for April 2025 in the US and Canada, the top 3 spots were taken by The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, Minecraft, and Forza Horizon 5. The same was in Europe. But Forza Horizon 5 was number 1. Oblivion Remastered was 2, and then Minecraft. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 also was high up on the charts. Microsoft, of course, heavily in promoting them. Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, all of these games high up in the charts. I'm sure Gears will top the charts when it releases on PlayStation later this summer. Well, friends, do you remember playing Ecco the Dolphin on your Sega Genesises? Is that the Genesises? Is that the proper plural term for Sega Genesis? Ecco the Dolphin will be returning, and with its original creators. There's going to be remakes of the original games, but a new third installment is also on the way. On Xbox Wire, Ed Annunziata, who was the creator of the franchise, was interviewed about raising awareness about ocean conservation and working as a game developer, and said, quote, "Me and the entire original team are going to remaster the original Ecco the Dolphin and Ecco the Tides of Time. Then we'll make a new third game with contemporary play and graphics sensibilities. Stay tuned," unquote. That is insane. That just proves to tell you that Xbox really is the continuation of Sega consoles, and it kind of always has been. While, yes, there were other Ecco games on the Dreamcast, none of those were done with the original team or Annunziata involved. He did say, quote, "I just want to finally be able to enter my secret password from the end of Times of Time." Oh, no, that was a fan. Never mind. I don't know why I'm reading that. No other details, but there is a countdown on the official website, and that expires in 8,508 hours' time, which is just about a year. So the original game launched in 1992 on the Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis, and then Ecco the Tides of Time released in 1994. There were other games, but those were more edutainment games than actual video games. There you go. But yeah, Ecco the Dolphin, which is wild to say in 2025. Another wild thing to say in 2025, well, not really, knowing Nintendo and how litigious they are. Nintendo is suing the peripheral maker who leaked the Switch 2 sizes with their peripherals at CES earlier this year. They are suing accessory firm Genki for trademark infringement after they shared renders of the Switch 2 mock-up at CES. Nintendo gonna Nintendo, aren't they? We already said Oblivion was topping the charts on PlayStation. Well, it topped the charts overall. It is now the third best-selling game in the United States, behind only Assassin's Creed Shadows and Monster Hunter Wilds. It's got outrageous Steam concurrent numbers. 4 million players, announced by Bethesda. It is the third best-selling game of 2025 after 1 week on sale. And when it, quote, shadow dropped on the 22nd. Obviously, it had been leaked for a while. Grand Theft Auto. How about this? Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, which is getting praise from everyone, including the French President Macron. The music, the theme song, the soundtrack has topped the Billboard Classical Music Album charts. Sandfall Interactive has announced that the soundtrack has topped Billboard album charts in the weeks since its release. That is crazy. It's got 150 individual tracks, hundreds of thousands of streams on Spotify, which is insane for an album that big. The Lumiere track is the most popular, has 1.9 million views on YouTube and just about 2 million streams on Spotify. I gotta listen to this damn thing. I gotta play the game, really. That's crazy. I bet Ubisoft is pissed that it's ex-developers from Ubisoft that are making that game. Sony has announced a new studio called Team LFG, which I guarantee you stands for Let's Fucking Go. There's no fucking way it doesn't. PlayStation Team LFG is a new studio that was spun out of Bungie. They're going to be making a new team-based game. In a PlayStation blog, Herman Holst, CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment Studio Business Group, said that Team LFG originated at Bungie and working on a new incubation project. It's looking for group. Get the fuck out of here. Let's fucking go is better. Their first game will be a team-based action game that draws inspiration from fighting games, platformers, MOBAs, life sims, and what they're calling, quote, frog-type games, whatever the fuck that is. And, quote, players will inhabit a lighthearted, comedic world set in a brand new mythic science fantasy universe, unquote, says Team LFG. They also said, quote, we are driven by a mission to create games where players can find friendship, community, and belonging. We want our players to feel excited when they log on to discover their teammates already hanging out online. We want our players to recognize familiar names and to make myths and memes out of each other. We want our players to love remembering that one time where they pulled off that play that changed the whole story of the match. As we say on the team, that's the good stuff, unquote. I'm not reading. All right, you guys need to give up on the hunky-dory love. Everybody loves each other world. That world doesn't exist anymore. Good for you for thinking it might and that people might do it. I'm not that good on you for holding on to that hope. But apparently they've never met gamers before. In a world of rising prices, EA dares to say no. Is not a thing I ever expected to say. I don't think anyone ever expected to hear. EA was consistently the most hated company on the planet. Not just gaming, of all companies. They are not increasing their prices. That's actually a very good thing to say about EA for once. Nope. In a new financial call, CEO Andrew Wilson said that, quote, in terms of pricing power, our business is very different today than it was even just 10 years ago. In a world where everything we did 10 years ago was about selling shiny discs in plastic boxes in retail shelves, well, that's still a part of our business. It's a significantly smaller part of our business, and we now have pricing representing everything from free-to-play all the way to deluxe editions and beyond. At the end of the day, whether we're doing something that costs $1, or we're doing something that costs 10, or we're doing something that costs 100, our objective is always to deliver incredible quality and exponential value for our player base. And what we've discovered over the course of time is when we can marry quality and value together, our business is strong, resilient, and continues to grow. Unquote. Well, look at that. EA being the good guy for once. I get it. I think they sell enough copies that they don't need to increase their prices, but so does Nintendo. So, I don't know. Good guy EA. That is a wild thing to be coming out of my mouth. The supposed Xbox handheld has leaked, or images of it have leaked. The Asus branded Xbox handheld, which is still codenamed Project Kenan, have leaked online. 91 Mobiles and Eurogamer have spotted the images, two of them, One is white, one is black, and have gone public via the Indonesian Certificate Office, which linked and then deleted a listing to the U.S.'s FCC website. They have the Xbox button configuration. The Xbox button is on there, but yeah, these are. I don't know how I feel about these things. I'm not. I don't like the look of them as much as I thought they might be. They're very interesting for sure. They do have the ROG the ROG lettering on it. The white one looks better than the black one, though. I will say that, based on the images. I don't see the Xbox button, though. So that's why I'm a little thrown off. But it'll be interesting to see what the pricing strategy on those are. Speaking of Bungie, they announced a whole new slew of information in regards to Destiny 2, which is getting a Star Wars collaboration in the future. I thought Destiny 2 was over. I don't know what they're doing here. 2 new expansions and a major seasonal and core game updates are coming, being badged as the Year of Prophecy. Wow. 2 paid expansions, 2 major updates. The first is going to be Rite of the Nine, what they're calling, quote, a fresh take on dungeon diving for both seasoned dungeon crawlers and those stepping into the depths for the first time, unquote. It is available to all players for free. The dungeons themselves, Prophecy, Spire of the Watcher, and Ghosts of the Deep, might be familiar, but can expect unique twists in which you will reconnect with Orin and refresh dungeon weapons. On July 15th, the new expansion, Destiny 2: The Edge of Fate, is, quote, a multi-year saga that will unfold across multiple expansions, unquote. The next paid-for expansion, The Edge of Fate, will reintroduce everyone to the Nine, the powerful and mysterious beings who existed long before the Traveler, as 2 new characters step into the spotlight, Lodi and Warlock Vanguard Ikora. The Nine. Oh, that's there's that Zur, Agent of the Nine. Look at that. I remember that, and I haven't played Destiny in fucking forever. The new expansion will take place on Kepler, what they're calling, quote, inspired by the puzzle-solving and pathfinding challenges of Destiny 2's dungeons and destination design, which encourages deep exploration, mystery, and player-driven discovery, unquote. New enemies, weapons, gear, and destination-specific abilities. New enemies? A new faction? Also on July 15th, quote, major core game innovations, unquote, will roll out, like revised armor and gear systems, new ops and things like that. You can pre-order this stuff. It's all available. And then Year of Prophecy Collector's Edition was announced. Then from September 9th, the second major update will go live, Ash and Iron, with the second expansion of the year, Renegades, going live on December 2nd. And then that's the one that's tied in with Star Wars. And then March 3rd, next year, we'll see the Shadow and Order major update. Destiny 2 Renegades, the second expansion of the Year of Prophecy, is inspired by the legendary Star Wars universe and will, quote, merges Destiny's distinctive storytelling and gameplay with themes and elements drawn from the iconic sci-fi franchise, unquote. They already had some Star Wars stuff before, but there's going to be new, apparently the lightsabers coming to the game, and there's going to be outfits inspired by General Grievous, Lord Darth Vader, and Kylo Ren. So Destiny 2's got a big year ahead. Maybe I'll jump back in with the Star Wars stuff. I don't know. I legitimately have not played Destiny in probably 5 years, at least. A new news from Square Enix today. The Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy will be coming to Nintendo Switch, too. Still no word on an Xbox release, which is somewhat puzzling, given that Square has been more Xbox friendly as of late. I still don't know why. I still don't know why. Yeah, it's not on Xbox. That's it kind of for gaming news, actually. Obviously, the biggest stuff was the Xbox price hike, everything about Grand Theft Auto 6, right? So, let's head on up the 5 freeway and see what's going on in Hollywood, shall we? All right, so the Spider-Verse movies are heading to Disney Plus. Well, at least across the Spider-Verse, the second one. So now you can watch Spider-Man where he belongs. Jeremy Renner has recently revealed that he turned down a Hawkeye Season 2 over a monetary dispute with Disney, and I do not blame him. He is essentially calling the offer they gave him an insult and penny pinchers, saying, quote, "They asked me to do Season 2, and they offered me half the money. I'm like, well, it's going to take me twice the amount of work for half the amount of money, and 8 months of my time, essentially, to do it for half the amount," unquote. He did this during an appearance on High Performance, talking about his new book. He said also, quote, I'm sorry, why? Did you think I'm only half the Jeremy because I got ran over? Maybe that's why you want to pay me half of what I made on the first season," unquote. He does still want to be Hawkeye one day, and his ire is not directly directed at Marvel. Quote, saying, "This is not Marvel, mind you. This is like just Disney. Not even really Disney. It's just the penny pinchers, the accountants. I told him to go fly a kite. I mean, just at the insult offer, so we didn't see eye to eye on it. I still love the character. I'd still love to do it, but I had to defend myself. I didn't ask for any more money, mind you. Just pay me what I made the first season. So it's all disheartening that that didn't happen. But that's fine. I'm happy to let that go because my body's probably thanking me time and time again that I'm not doing it right now, but we'll see," unquote. Obviously, famously, he almost died in a snowplow accident and was in the hospital for a while. He's been healing and getting better. But yeah, they should have paid him at least the same fucking amount for the first season. Jesus, accountants at Disney, which I'm a shareholder of. But no, pay him. Pay the man what he's fucking worth. If you pay him, you bring him in, and that's what you put butts in seats or people turning on the TV because it's a television show. You guys know what I mean. But no, he should have been fucking paid. My God. The fact that they didn't. Get the fuck out of here. Pay the man. He's worth every fucking penny. Jesus. Ryan Reynolds has revealed he's in the early stages of writing the next Deadpool film. He hasn't pitched it to Marvel or anyone yet, but he's trying to bring a Deadpool and X-Men movie to life. Reported by The Hollywood Reporter, Reynolds' idea is that would feature Deadpool, but not as the main character. But it would be with 3 of the 4 other X-Men characters, but they would take center stage in the film that he is thinking about making. It's separate from the X-Men movie, that of course that Marvel's working on, but we don't know if he'll actually finish it or pitch it or get the green light on it, but he wants to make it. Let's talk about something that the President of the United States truthed out on over the weekend. Is that what it's fucking called? Is when you make a truth? I don't know. It's Truth Social. I don't go on it. I've only seen the reposts of it. He wants to put 100% tariff on all non-U.S. films as a national security threat, which doesn't make any fucking sense. But the day after, he announced that he would meet with the film industry to get their thoughts on it and figure it out. But he said, quote, "I'm not looking to hurt the industry. I want to help the industry. I want to make sure they're happy with it because we're all about jobs," unquote. He said this to CNBC. So this is what he originally said, quote, "The movie industry in America is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas within the USA are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. It is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I'm authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again," unquote. All right. Yes, it's true that other countries and places are offering better incentives. It's cheaper to film there. This is not a new phenomenon. This is been going on forever. He wants everything made here. Okay, that's just not fucking possible. All right, you can't supplant the Midwest for Paris or London. Some of the highest grossing films of all time have been maybe filmed abroad but finished here. Star Wars, Avengers, Titanic. So what even would 100% tariff on movies mean? How do you even quantify that? How do you quantify this nonsense and apply it? Like on the budget of the film, on the ticket, like how does that even factor into ticket? My head hurts thinking about how ridiculous this is and how it would destroy the film industry overall. Because I'm trying not to be political. Okay, it's just fucking asinine, and it goes back to all the other tariffs. Okay, I have a history degree, and I know about the other few times the U.S. has tried to institute tariffs. It didn't go fucking well, regardless of whatever political affiliation you are. If you look at the facts, it didn't end well for the United States. It's not ending well now. The global economy just can't be recreated in America overnight. So, but again, how do you institute 100% tariff on a film? Does that mean we're never going to get an Indiana or a James Bond movie ever again? I mean, look at the Mission Impossible movies. Those were all filmed abroad. You cannot film all that here. I bet you Tom Cruise called the president and be like, "Hey, motherfucker." Not like that, but you know what I mean. Like, there's so many movies that are not produced here that are great films. I mean, Disney and Lucasfilm and all them have been filming at Pinewood in the UK for decades at this point. I'm not saying it's cheaper in the UK than here. I mean, Gavin Newsom announced months ago that they want to institute new tax incentives here in California because, while the industry is still rooted here, very little is actually produced here still. But the economy of Los Angeles is very reliant on Hollywood production. Look at how much it was affected by COVID and then the strikes. So this is a major blow after they just started to recover again after the strikes too. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they filmed half of the Thunderbolts, I think, here. Looked like they filmed in New York. I don't know. how do you, where do you charge a tariff on a movie? Please explain that to me. Because I don't fucking get it, and most people don't either. I don't know. Maybe, before I start saying things, I'm not going to move on. Event Horizon, which is a cult classic horror film, is getting a prequel in a comic book. 30 years after the movie first came out, Paul W.S. Anderson's Event Horizon will be getting a prequel. IDW Publishing has revealed what they're calling Event Horizon Dark Descent. It will be a 5-issue comic book series that will explore the events leading up to the film and explain what happened to the crew of the Event Horizon ship. Dark Descent is being written by Christian Ward and drawn by Tristan Jones, with colors by Pip Martin, cover art by Ward, Jeffrey Allen Love, Martin Simmons, and Joshua Hickson. That's cool. I like Event Horizon. It's a strange movie, but I'm a fan of it. So yeah, it's getting a comic. That's cool. If you guys love small soldiers like me, you'll be excited to know that it's getting a 4K Steelbook re-release this July. Everything else is just a toy. That still works, surprisingly. If you're aware of current events, the Pope recently passed on. So the Catholic Church is currently in the process, they started today, of electing a new Pope. Conclave, which was a movie released last year about this exact situation, was a movie I did not expect to be as good as it was. A lot of the College of Cardinals apparently are watching the film, as most of them are all new cardinals and had never taken place in an actual conclave before Pope Francis passed away a few weeks back. Which is kind of funny that conclave ended up imitating actual life, and that the Cardinals are now watching it. So, John Wick 5 was recently announced. We've now learned that Chad Stahelski is returning, and Keanu is now confirmed to be back as well. Stahelski is saying, quote, the movie will be really different, unquote, and not involve the high table. So, yeah, Keanu Reeves is back, surprisingly. Well, not really, but I wonder how this is going to work. Let's talk about Andor, which premiered its 7th, 8th, and 9th episodes last night and got to the meat of the story they've been teasing now for months. The Gorman Massacre is what took place in episode 8 last night. The Gorman Massacre is something that has existed in Legends for a long time and in canon. The original Gorman Massacre from Legends was actually worked into the new story. The Tarkin Massacre is what they called it. But the new Gorman Massacre is what it was first hinted at in Star Wars Rebels. It's when Mon Mothma finally kind of left the Empire and joined the Rebel Alliance. Well, in what I can only call the most visceral thing ever seen in Star Wars, Andor is already the one of the best things to happen to Star Wars in a long time. We got to see all of that play out essentially in real time last night, without blood and viscera, which is wild to say. Crazy character arcs for Cyril and Deidre, and even Cassian. We got to see Mon Mothma's speech. We finally got more from Benjamin Bratt portraying Bail Organa. Yes, if you are unawares, Benjamin Bratt stepped in to play Bail Organa in Season 2 of Andor. From my understanding that's been put out, Jimmy Smits was completely unavailable And obviously, they made the decision to recast. I think Benjamin Bratt is actually perfect for the role. He somehow does look like he could be Jimmy Smits' twin. Like, I'm not kidding. Obviously, not the same body frame or anything like that, but he's perfect stand-in. Obviously, Star Wars fans reacted as you would have expected them to, because last week they thought he was only going to be in it for 10 seconds. That was it. This was one of the most. This. I almost missed going to Thunderbolts because of how intense these episodes were and how like hyped I was for it. That's how good they were. I could not look away from the screen. Andor has been like that from the start, though. But I swear, if you're not watching Andor, you're missing out completely. It is the Star Wars for adults that we've always wanted. And I know I talked about the very heavy adult themes a few weeks ago from the first 3 episodes. The second 3 episodes were good, don't get me wrong. But the first 3 and this 3 have been just amazing. And I'm wondering where they're going to go with the final 3 leading into Rogue One. There was some retconning with how Cassian got K2SO, which is fine because it was a tie-in comic that they kind of did that in before. The gore people were really interesting to follow along with. It was very clearly inspired by Vichy France and the French resistance during World War II. The Empire is showing its true colors, and you can kind of see people that love the Empire are starting to see, wait a minute, maybe they're questioning. Case in point with Cyril. Cassian is questioning like stuff with the rebellion and things like that. We saw some returning characters from Rogue One, so it's nice to see more of them 10 years on, obviously. So it's a little harder to make them look younger because this takes place 2 years before Rogue One. We got to see the buildup of Yavin Base, which is also always a good thing. But just some of the best episodes of Star Wars across the board and some of the best Star Wars moments across the board, despite it being a very, very hard subject to portray. Essentially, propaganda at work and then the massacre of civilians by stormtroopers and the Empire and KX droids, of which K2SO is. It is an intense episode. It is not for the weak of heart. I do not advise watching this with your children. If you're watching Andor with your children, I hope you have explained the heavy themes to them. They're probably not going to get it. I would one of the few Star Wars properties I would say do not watch with a child. Because they're not going to get everything. There's a moment with a Force healer, which it rubbed me the wrong way, and I've seen some other people commenting on it and how it it reminds them of the first way they felt about Star Wars, and I can kind of see that. Like, wait a minute, they had Force healers, new canon, blah, blah. And then I remember, wait a minute, there's like old Star Wars games where like there were Force users in the Rebellion. So, again, not outlandish, and I was so hyped. My heart was pounding. My adrenaline was up from watching these episodes. It was hard for me to go to sleep, even after watching Thunderbolts in between that finishing the episodes. But it is so intense. It is so hype. This is exactly why the Rebellion is the Rebellion. And obviously blur the lines a bit and things like that, but when you see what the Empire was doing, which was always hinted at but never seen throughout Star Wars media, both in Legends and canon and Old George and Disney and everything, it's always been hinted at but never fully seen. And now they decided to actually put it to screen, and it is intense in every sense of the word. And it's the second episode in the 3-episode arc. I do want to talk about Thunderbolts a bit before I do my review, or New Avengers, as they're being called. I really think they should have waited before they did this social media blitz. But like on Monday, Sebastian Stan was going around LA putting up new posters featuring the new title, The New Avengers. And it's kind of dragged into the real world more, where Marvel has started putting copyright on some of their Avengers pages on social media, which I don't want to fully spoil the movie, but this is kind of spoiling the movie just a few days after it released. Come on, guys. But I think it's funny, and it's teeing up what's next. And that kind of leads me into my review of the film. And I said on social media, you guys really should be following me there, because I post some stuff that I don't always talk about on the podcast. But we're so back, because this is the first MCU movie that felt like a good MCU movie. And it's mostly because I did not have high expectations, but I did not have low expectations. I think I knew what I was expecting and was still surprised by the movie. Of the two Marvel movies that have been released this year so far, obviously my feelings on Captain America and the Winter Soldier were just okay. The thing that stood out to me the most were, this felt like a movie. Captain America and the Winter Soldier felt like a long episode of television. Like whatever frame rate or whatever aspect ratio or whatever they were filming, it did not feel it didn't feel like a movie, and it felt rushed, and you could tell there was a ton of reshoots and everything like that, and rewrites. But this movie felt like a movie. It didn't feel off like those others, and I was so happy to watch it, and I loved every minute of it. It is one of the few movies that captures my attention to the fullest, which is always a good thing. I loved it. I loved it so much. Bucky is great in it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, it steals the show as the villain. I loved Bob. You knew I was going to love David Harbour as Red Guardian, because that was one of the few things I liked about the Black Widow movie. This movie is tight on the action. The cinematography is on point. It felt like a Phase 1 movie and a Phase 2 movie in the best ways. And Marvel was missing that for a while. They got too grand sometimes, or they went too far. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff in Phase 5 that I have thoroughly enjoyed. But this felt like a down-to-earth Marvel movie like the beginning that can be a great stepping point to Fantastic Four, to Avengers Doomsday. And if you stay and watch the post-credit scene, obviously it ties in well like they used to do. It ends with the New Avengers and Bob will return. I haven't seen that at the end of a Marvel movie in quite some time. But it is I don't want to use visceral again, because I was just using that to describe Andor, but it feels real. And even Bob as Sentry, like they pulled that off in a way I was worried about, to a point, because we've never had a hero like that in Marvel. We've never had a Superman, an analogous to Superman in the MCU, and they pulled it off very well, I might add. Lewis Pullman, man, is a great actor. So it's a very, very good movie. It feels like old Marvel. There's a reason it's so highly rated on Rotten and things like that. The cast ensemble, they have a great chemistry together and camaraderie. Bucky, I saw someone post like Bucky got his aura back. I don't know about that, but it felt good. It felt good to watch a Marvel movie like that, because it's been a while, where everything was just cohesive and worked. The team, getting to see more of Ghost, the last person I expected them to bring back. John Walker, U.S. agent, Wyatt Russell is just a great actor in general, and getting to see him explore more of his character after the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is always good. There's a few characters that I felt were strange, were missing. Everett Ross should have appeared somewhat, considering he's married to Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character. It was strange not seeing Sam Wilson in any capacity in it, and I get it because obviously they don't want to tie it too much to Captain America 4 and let him stand on his own. I understand that as well. But this movie didn't feel like it was filmed with a steady cam or a shaky cam or things like that. Like there's aspects of Captain America and other movies that they just don't feel movie like when they use those types of cameras. This movie felt like a movie. And that's what I love more than anything. And it's funny too. Like, it's not forced humor. It's been a minute since there hasn't been like forced humor in a Marvel movie, and I love that as well. So there were all these working pieces that just fit together, and and I loved it. I loved every friggin' minute of it, man. I really suggest you go see the Thunderbolts. If you haven't seen a Marvel movie in a while, this can be your bridge back in. If you've been watching them all along, you're not going to be upset. You're going to be happy watching this movie. So I really, really loved Thunderbolts. Again, I didn't go in with any high or low expectations, just regular expectations, and I was still surprised with how it played out. And that is the best part about it. So I give it a 10 out of 10. Yeah, a 10 out of 10 for Thunderbolts. It was that good to me. But that's it for Nick's Nerd News this week, guys. Thank you for listening week in and week out. Like I said, don't forget to follow me on social media. Check out the website. Like, share, subscribe the show. And I will catch you guys on the flip side.
This has been a production of Nick's Nerd News. Please do not use without implicit